The day she knocked on my door with a bill for $3,200 and a smile that looked like it had been sharpened in a mirror, I thought I was just dealing with another HOA busybody. The day she sent fake cops to my porch to haul me off my own land, I realized I was dealing with something a whole lot uglier. And what Veronica Kincaid didn't know, what would end up blowing her entire little empire apart, was that Ethan Marlowe, on the very ground her beloved HOA office was built on. 6 months before all this, I thought I'd finally found somewhere quiet enough to hear myself breathe. After cancer took my wife Lena 2 years earlier, my life had been nothing but hospital lights, beeping machines, and the sound of my own helplessness. Then Grandma Eloise passed and left me her old farmhouse on 3.2 acres out in Briar Ridge County. A 1940s stone house leaning but stubborn, a weathered barn, and a workshop that smelled like motor oil, sawdust, and the possibility that I might rebuild more than just engines. For decades, our land sat out there alone, surrounded by oaks and open fields, and then developers swooped in and dropped Cedar Crest Reserve on all sides. 200 copy-paste houses, identical lawns, matching mailboxes, and a freshly minted Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance to police paint shades and mailbox heights. They put in a pool, a community center, and an HOA office that looked way too proud of itself for sitting on a patch of asphalt. And somewhere in those glossy plans, someone simply decided my family's land would bend to their paperwork. That Tuesday, I heard tires crunch on the gravel and smelled the cloud of expensive perfume right before Veronica Kincaid appeared at my door, clipboard pressed to her chest like a weapon, white SUV idling behind her, ponytail tight, leggings and branded jacket like some kind of suburban uniform. "Mr. Marlowe, I'm Veronica from the Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance," she said, voice rehearsed. "You're past due on assessments and fines, $3,200 plus ongoing dues." I wiped grease off my hands with an old rag, glanced at the papers, then back at her. "Ma'am, I'm not in your HOA," I said. "This land has been in my family since 1945. Nobody asked me." She smiled like a cat cornering a mouse. "When Briar Ridge County rezoned this for residential development, all properties were automatically brought under the Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance umbrella," she recited. "You've got an unapproved commercial vehicle." She pointed to my work truck. "An out-of-compliance barn, and an overgrown yard. You've had the benefit of our amenities. Now you have to pay your share." I pulled out Grandma Eloise's deed, the one I'd read 100 times since she died. "I never signed anything," I told her quietly. "I don't use your pool, don't want your landscapers, and I didn't agree to your rules." Her eyes went hard. "You have 30 days, Mr. Marlowe," she said, handing me a cream-colored legal notice, "or we file a lien on your property. I have friends in the county. This can be easy, or it can be complicated." That night, I spread 3 generations of paper across my kitchen table, old surveys, tax receipts, utility easements, even a hand-drawn map from Grandpa Lewis. And buried in that pile, I found the filings for the Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance and their management arm, Cedar Ridge Community Services LLC, half-finished legal descriptions, sloppy incorporation dates, and when I pulled up county records, something jumped out at me. My southern boundary line extended farther than I'd ever realized. Straight under that shiny HOA office building they'd slapped up like a monument. I remembered something Lena used to say from her job at the county offices: "Surveys beat plat maps when there's a fight. Don't ever take somebody's word for where your land stops." And I felt that old grief twist into something sharper, a quiet anger that didn't shout, just started making plans. 2 days later, while I was elbow-deep in a neighbor's truck engine, I heard that fake authoritative tone outside, stepped into the driveway, and found 2 guys in matching polos standing at my mailbox, clipboards out, cheap badges on lanyards. Big one with a mall cop gut, skinny one clicking his pen like he was drilling his own nerves. "Ethan Marlowe," the big one barked, "County Code Enforcement. We're here about multiple violations." Their badges were all wrong: font, seal, lamination, and my late wife had worked long enough for the county that I knew the real thing. "What department did you say you're with?" I asked, polite but not moving. "Environmental and Zoning Compliance." The skinny one mumbled, eyes dodging. They handed me citations for noise, unpermitted structures, commercial vehicles in a residential zone, then practically burned rubber getting off my property. I called the actual county, got a real clerk, and asked how to appeal citations from environmental and zoning compliance. She paused, typed, then said slowly, "Sir, we don't have any department by that name. Who exactly showed up at your house?" That was the moment the HOA drama crossed into felony territory. Impersonating government officials isn't a cute neighborhood power play. It's the kind of thing that gets you acquainted with prison lighting. Within the hour, I was sitting across from Deputy Ryan Collins at the Briar Ridge County Sheriff's Office, showing photos of badges and license plates. He ran the plate and frowned. "These trucks are registered to Cedar Ridge Community Services, LLC," he said. "Same address as the Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance office. I'd get cameras up, Mr. Marlowe. People who send fake cops don't usually calm down on their own." So I did, and that's when the real war started. Next morning, I mounted 4 cameras where everyone could see them: driveway, front porch, workshop door, back gate. And because grief had already taught me to expect the worst, I hid 2 more, one up in the old oak tree, one tucked behind the barn, all streaming to cloud backup, all stamped with the exact time the truth happened. While I was still tightening brackets, my phone lit up with app alerts. Veronica Kincaid had called an emergency community safety meeting about a problematic property owner. I didn't need subtitles to know she meant me. That evening, Mrs. Harlow, who'd lived here since back when the road was still gravel and gossip traveled by porch swing, showed up with a plate of snickerdoodles and a scowl. "Ethan, darling," Mrs. Harlow said, cinnamon and butter trailing behind her. "That woman's telling these new folks you're turning your place into an auto salvage yard. Says you'll wreck their investments." Got them all stirred up. Something in me snapped into alignment, like a bolt finally threading straight. If Veronica wanted a stage, I'd walk on it. So I grabbed Grandma Eloise's old photos and deed, shoved papers into a folder, and headed for the Cedar Crest Community Center, uninvited. The room was crammed. HOA board at the front under a banner, residents hunched in chairs, some curious, some irritated. I walked to the front and introduced myself. "Name's Ethan Marlowe," I said. "You might have heard I'm the guy trashing your property values. I figured you deserved to hear from the alleged villain." "This is a private Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance meeting," Veronica snapped. "You don't belong here." "Public building," I reminded her, sliding an old black and white photo onto the table. The room leaned in, seeing Grandma Eloise's farm stretching across what is now their cul-de-sacs, stone house, barn, chickens, fields. Long before a single HOA rule existed, I told them my family had cared for this land for 80 years, that I'd never signed their covenant, that I didn't use their pool or their landscapers, and I sure didn't call fake cops on my neighbors. She shrieked for security that didn't exist. A few embarrassed homeowners tried to escort me out. I just handed them copies of the pictures as I went. "If you want to talk like neighbors, you know where to find me," I said, then went home and waited for the next punch. It came. Of course, a harassment complaint. Real officers this time. Officer Nate Renner at my door, looking like a man who'd heard this song before. "We've had several HOA complaints out here," he admitted. "Just keep recording. Don't confront her if you can help it." As he turned to go, he added, "That management company from your fake citation incident? Same address as the HOA office. You might want to take a hard look at where their building actually sits." So I hired Heritage Title Surveying, and I hired attorney Cole Maddox, a property rights lawyer who'd spent 30 years making arrogant boards regret their life choices. The survey crew came with beeping equipment and orange flags, and when the lead surveyor called me over, my stomach dropped. "Mr. Marlowe," he said, pointing at his screen, "your property line runs about 30 feet farther south than the old records show. By our measurements, about half that HOA office is built on your land." That night, I spread the new survey, tax maps, incorporation papers for Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance and Cedar Ridge Community Services, LLC across my kitchen table, motor oil still on my hands as I connected the dots. Veronica hadn't just tried to drag me into her organization. She'd built her headquarters on stolen ground and used my tax bill to hide it. She hit back hard, parking in my driveway, announcing it was common area access, calling a landscaping crew to rip out my old mailbox because it violated community aesthetics. The postal supervisor just about laughed on the phone, then got very serious. "That's a federal matter, sir. Reinstall your mailbox wherever you want on your property and file a complaint." So I went to the store and bought the heaviest cast iron box I could find, had Marlowe 1945 stamped on it like a declaration of war. A week later, I woke up to 4-tires, lenses of my visible cameras spray-painted black, but the hidden ones had perfect footage of Veronica in a hoodie, directing two men with knives and cans of paint. My insurance agent, Warren Pike, and adjuster Luis Romero both noticed the pattern. "We've had 7 vandalism claims tied to HOA disputes in this area," Luis said. "Fraud investigators are circling." Then Detective Miles Grayson from the County Fraud Unit called me in, spread photos from other neighborhoods on his desk. Same management company structure, same harassment tactics, same link to Cedar Ridge Community Services LLC. "What started as your complaint," he told me, "opened a file we've been building on these people for months: harassment, staged damage, bogus insurance claims, forced membership schemes. It's organized." Not long after, I met Owen Hartley, the treasurer for Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance, at a roadside diner, red-rimmed eyes, hands shaking as he slid a manila envelope over the table. "I've been trying to pretend this didn't add up for 2 years, he whispered. 50 grand for landscaping no one ever saw. 30 grand for legal work that never went to court, shell companies that all lead back to Veronica's family. And when I pulled property records for that office building, it's not on HOA land. Ethan, it's on yours." From there, the war moved into my workshop, which turned into a war room. Attorney Cole Maddox mapped out a quiet title action to lock in my ownership under the office. Auditor Meredith Shaw dug into property tax irregularities and found that I'd been paying on the full 3.2 acres, building included. While Veronica dodged thousands in taxes, Detective Grayson connected vandalism and insurance payouts. Owen provided bank statements showing nearly $180,000 siphoned through fake vendors, and reporter Jenna Cross from the Briar Ridge Chronicle started building a story about HOA corruption that would soon outgrow our county line. That's when Veronica went from petty tyrant to full-blown criminal hurricane. She sent a bogus legal letter from a fake firm, Brighton and Rowe Legal Group, which turned out to be a box at a mail store, tried to plant bags of hazardous chemicals near my workshop at 3 a.m, caught on camera, of course, blackmailed Owen over an unpermitted deck, then broke into my living room. Perfume and panic hitting me at the same time as she held out a check from one of her shell companies for $50,000. "Take it and walk away, Ethan," she said. "We'll move the building if we have to. No one has to know." I recorded every word. Her admitting the building might need to be relocated, calling the money compensation, brushing off nearly 200 grand in stolen dues as administrative costs. When Attorney Maddox heard it, he shook his head and smiled grimly. "That's bribery, admission, and arrogance all in one clip," he said. "Prosecutors love this kind of defendant." She filed a bogus restraining order claiming I'd threatened her, but Deputy Collins brought the break-in footage to Judge Clarissa Boone, who not only tossed the order but sanctioned Veronica for abusing the system and ordered her to pay my fees. She plastered the neighborhood with anonymous flyers calling me dangerous and unstable. Most people just came to my door to ask if I was okay. She had someone firebomb my workshop with Molotov cocktails. The fire department saved the structure, and the fireproof safe inside did its job. So when Detective Grayson stood among blackened tools and melted plastic, he called it what it was: arson to destroy evidence in an active fraud case. By then, Jenna Cross's preview article had gone semi-viral. HOA victims from all over were sharing it. Local TV trucks showed up outside Cedar Crest Community Center the night of our emergency meeting, and a few hours before it started, Veronica's new lawyer called with a last-ditch offer: transfer the office building to me, pay me $100,000, resign, move out of state, no criminal charges, no lawsuit, no spotlight, just quiet. I thought of every neighbor who'd paid those inflated dues, every late-night voicemail telling me to join Lena, every slash, every spark, every lie, and I told Attorney Maddox, "We're not negotiating, we're going public." By 6:30 that night, the Cedar Crest Community Center was packed beyond capacity. People crammed into folding chairs, lining the walls, standing outside where speakers broadcast the meeting, news cameras in the back, phones held up for live streams. Commissioner Daniel Hale in the third row, Deputy Collins and Detective Grayson in plain clothes near the exits. Owen clutching his treasurer's notebook like a shield. Mrs. Harlow in her best church dress, eyes blazing. At 7 on the dot, Veronica Kincaid strode in, navy suit, heels clicking, mask of confidence cracked around the edges. She grabbed the mic and announced, "This session is for routine Cedar Crest Homeowners Alliance business only. We will not entertain wild accusations from non-members." A murmur rolled through the room. Owen stood. "Point of order," he said. "State law requires homeowner concerns to be heard, especially when financial misconduct is alleged." "Sit down. You're out of order," Veronica snapped. But Commissioner Hale rose and calmly said, "No, Ms. Kincaid, you are. I'm here to ensure proper procedure. Please continue, Mr. Hartley." It was my cue. I walked down the aisle feeling 300 pairs of eyes on me, fear and anger and hope all mixed into the same thick air. I took the mic. "My name is Ethan Marlowe," I said. "You know me as the guy your HOA says is endangering your property values. Tonight, I want to show you who's really been robbing this community." I held up the survey, projected behind me on a screen. 3 weeks ago, Heritage Title Surveying did a GPS survey of my land, confirmed by Auditor Meredith Shaw. According to county records, this office building behind us sits on land my family has owned since 1945. There is no recorded subdivision, no easement, nothing. They built it on my property and hid behind my tax bill. Gasps, expletives under people's breath, heads snapping toward the windows where the office loomed. "That's fabricated," Veronica shouted. "He's trying to sabotage lawful HOA operations. Certified, stamped, and on file." I answered, then nodded to Owen, who started handing out copies of bank statements. "Over the last 3 years, nearly $180,000 of your dues were paid to companies controlled by Veronica and her relatives. Fake landscaping, fake security, fake legal consulting, money that never came back to you in services. That office is owned through Premier Neighborhood Holdings LLC, also hers, and the HOA pays over $4,000 a month in rent too. Sit in a building on my land." Paper rustled like a storm. People flipped pages, tracing account numbers and signatures. I saw faces go from confusion to betrayal in real time. Then Mrs. Harlow rose slowly, voice ringing clear. "I watched Ethan's grandma Eloise buy that land. Watched her work it. Watched him come back here after losing his wife just looking for peace. While this woman," she pointed straight at Veronica, "sent fake officers, vandalized his place, and stole from every family in this room." The applause hit like a wave, some folks on their feet, some wiping angry tears. I pulled out my phone, hit play. Veronica's voice echoed through the speakers, offering me $50,000 to make this disappear, admitting the building might have to be moved, brushing off homeowners' money as legitimate administrative expenses. When the clip ended, you could have heard a pin drop. "That," I said quietly, "is your president trying to bribe a witness and bury the truth."